The West's liberal establishment keeps crumbling. Now, this is really, really amazing. And I love the title of this article because it really does just drive the point home, and it really conveys to us the reality of what has been going on. And that is the toppling or the downfall of the Western liberal establishment, or you could say the downfall of centrist politics, so being center-right, being center-left. So in Germany, we have seen the downfall of the Scholz government, which I believe was elected in 2021, and now Germany is going to have an election in February, but the Scholz administration, the Scholz government, the Mr. Olaf Scholz's political coalition crashed. And it was a coalition between what? It was a coalition between the Greens, between the Free Democrats, and also the Social Democrats, if I'm not mistaken. And these are parties that have antithetical interests. The Free Democrats are more so financial libertarians, and so they were at odds with Scholz's people, and so it just didn't work. And then eventually that inner contention, that inner division, that polarization between these parties led to the downfall of the German government, the current German government, the current German political administration. So now they're going to have an election. Who's going to win? Everyone's saying, well, it's going to be the Christian Social Union under Mr. Merz that's going to take first place. And I read today that it's very possible that the AfD, the Nationalist Party, the far-right party, it's really a Nazi party, is going to take second place. And I can totally see that because we are seeing the very, very fast rise of the popularity of the AfD party. So, like I said, we live in very, very crazy times. But with the rise of these parties, or with the rise of far-right ideology, which is anti-establishment, anti-immigration, or really anti-lenient immigration policy, it's anti-migrant, and in many cases, actually, it's sympathetic to Nazism. With the rise of this phenomenon, we're also seeing simultaneously the decline of the liberal establishment or the centrist establishment. So people say, "Oh, okay, well, let's be nice to immigrants, and let's be this, and let's be lenient in immigration policy. Let's embrace foreigners with open arms and things like this." And then what happens, right? You have a story like the one that happened recently. A guy gets into a car and he drives right into a Christmas market in Germany, kills people and injures a whole bunch of other people, and it's a nightmare. And then the right wing, the far right people, come along and they say, this is why we can't have these people amongst us. And the guy who was driving that car, he is an Arab guy. He's also a doctor. And here he is murdering people. Why is a doctor murdering people? Oh, because this doctor is of a different culture, a culture that is antithetical to our own, and a culture that we need to purge out of our country. So these terrorist attacks give a really, really effective and very effective, a very advantageous argument for the far right, the AfD people, and they get more votes, they get more popularity, and their ranks swell. Everyone. So it says here that the West's liberal establishment keeps crumbling. Almost everywhere you look, there are grim tidings for center-left parties in the West. Sounds like something you'd hear in Elden Ring. Grim tidings. Grim tidings bespeak you, my friend. In a month, the Democrats will find themselves shunted out of the U.S. executive branch in opposition in both chambers of the legislature and stuck with a judicial apparatus led by a right-wing majority Supreme Court. Now, I don't really see much of an issue with this in the American context because in the American context, with a conservative majority, you have a Supreme Court that says that abortion should be allowed. The right to an abortion should be voted for by the states. It should be decided by the states individually. It should not be just a flat-out, broad-brush federal decree. And that has enabled states, individual states like Texas, to outlaw abortion. So I really don't see, honestly, I don't really see a huge comparison between the American right and the European right. I don't. I think this is a a misconception that a lot of people fall for. They'll say, yeah, they're right wing, they're rising in America and they're rising in Europe, but they're not exactly the same. In America, you do have this identitarian movement that is very much the same as what you see in Europe. The problem is that the identitarian movement, I think, is the American identitarian movement. So your Richard Spencer type Americans, they are eclipsed by the mainstream conservatives of the United States. And in the mainstream American conservative movement, there's still a lot of Christian influence. Believe it or not, it's true. There's still a lot of Christian influence. And there's also a lot of African Americans who are in the ranks of the American conservative movement. And Candace Owens is now a major figurehead in American conservatism. So I'm not really going to sit here and say that the American right wing is exactly the same as the European one. Although what I will add and what I will say is that I do notice a rising anti-Semitism within the American right, and it's not racist in the sense that it's anti-black, but it's racist in the sense that it's anti-Semitic. And that's a problem. And that's one thing that really worries me about the American conservative movement, is that you have this rising tide of anti-Semitism, and that can escalate into something very, very monstrous. For now, it's really just a matter of people talking about how Israel has undue influence on the United States and how Jews have done some terrible things in the past. But we all know that that type of rhetoric, if it gets escalated, will pave a pathway towards something much, much darker. And that's what really worries me. But in the case of Europe, what we see is really almost the entire conservative movement. Let's just say, generally speaking, what we see in Europe, generally speaking, is the right-wing movement being racist, or at least sympathetic to racist politicians. So, for example, Bjorn Höcke comes along, and he's this very famous politician in Germany, and he says, yeah, I'm sick and tired of seeing these Holocaust memorials. I'm tired of seeing them. Now, Donald Trump, would he ever say that? I don't think he would, at least. Yeah, I don't think he'll say. I'm just going to say, I don't think he would say that. Why? Well, because it's anti-Semitic, right? It's a clear sign of an anti-Semitic an anti-Semitic sentiment. Bjorn Höcke used to write explicitly Nazi articles. Bjorn Höcke uses a Nazi slogan, "Everything for Germany," and he was told, "Hey, that was an SS slogan," and I didn't know, and then he says it again, which shows that he has a sympathy towards Nazi ideology. You had one AfD member who said, "Hitler, Hitler, I miss you. Can you please return?" There was another case of an AfD member dancing on a Holocaust memorial. There was another case of AfD members going to a concentration camp that is now. They went to a concentration camp that you can go to and you can learn about the Holocaust. And so these AfD members went over there and they started questioning the Holocaust narrative. They started questioning the Holocaust narrative, and they were arguing with one of the guides in the camp. And none of this really bothers anybody in Germany. Well, it does bother people in Germany, but not everyone. And it doesn't bother any of the people who vote for the AfD. So the German right in the German society, they love the AfD. They love a Nazi party. It's a Nazistic party. They love Bjorn Höcke, who is a Nazi. It doesn't bother them. So I would say this is the biggest open difference between the American right and the European right. The American right, you don't see politicians coming out saying, F Holocaust memorials. Now, that probably will happen in the future. You're probably going to see something like that in the future, the way we're going. But I think the Europeans are a few steps ahead of us. I think the Europeans are a few steps ahead of us. So that's a really open difference between the two. Did I make it back? I'm still here. I don't really agree with just saying, oh yeah, we have the American right. I mean, there are differences, right? But there are similarities, though, and those similarities can get scary. In Britain, the honeymoon for the recently elected Labour government lasted just a matter of weeks, as its approval tanked amid political missteps and factional infighting. And we definitely saw the manifestation of that hatred towards the Labour Party in the UK riots that took place just this summer. And it wasn't just anger against Muslim immigrants or foreigners, it was also rage against Keir Starmer and his party, the Labour Party. So we definitely saw the manifestation of that stuff, and we saw these rioters in the UK just destroying people's businesses and looting people, and what's so, what really just kind of got under my skin was how you had these conservatives on Twitter. I don't know if they were conservatives, whatever they are, nationalists, right-wingers. I'm just going to call them righties. You had these righties in Twitter saying, yeah, these people are great. These UK rioters, they're amazing. I love them. They're so great. And I'm thinking, wait a second. When BLM people do the looting and the rioting, they're bad. But when your guys do it, it's good all of a sudden. And that's when I started noticing this huge double standard that some of these, or a lot of these righties have. And it's pretty scary. I just can't stand it. I just can't stand this whole thing. Did you hear about the attack on Taliban? No, I did not. The attack. Oh, you're talking about. Hold on. You're talking about the car attack, and yes, we've literally been talking about this throughout the show. Yes, it's okay. It's fine. Yeah, we talked about this several times already. Edwin Weber, what does it? So that's the thing, and it's just for years, conservatives or righties were portraying themselves as the people who don't believe in rioting. We don't believe in rioting. We don't believe in looting. Oh, we really respect police officers. And then what did you see on January 6th? Righties attacking police officers. What did you see in the UK riots? Righties attacking police officers, and dozens of police officers were injured during the UK riots. People's businesses were sacked. People were looted. It was nasty. It was nasty, but we got a taste of right-wing violence. And this is just one taste out of many tastes that we've gotten from right-wing insanity. We saw this back in, 2011 or 12 with the massacre in Norway. You had Anders Breivik mowing down people. You had the Christchurch massacre in, 2017, 2018. It was pretty horrendous. We had the Walmart massacre in, 2020 in El Paso, and some guy went into a Walmart and mowed down people because he hated Mexicans. We had the other situation not too long ago where a guy went into a grocery store and targeted black people. I mean, it's just sickening. It's just sickening, guys. So it says here, in France, President Emmanuel Macron is grappling with a dysfunctional parliament in which his liberal and centrist allies are beholden to the whims of an ascendant far-right faction. That's correct. You're seeing the rise of Marine Le Pen, and she's gaining tremendous grounds in France. Tremendous grounds in the French government. On Monday, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, a social democrat, lost a confidence vote in the country's parliament, paving the way for elections in February that will probably see his party's vote share shrink significantly. So Olaf Scholz is not going to end up as a winner in this upcoming election in Germany. The outcome was not unexpected, and it reflected mounting popular dissatisfaction with Scholz's collapsed coalition government and deepening despair over the state of the country's stagnating economy and politics. And that's another thing. The German economy is declining. I think out of all the economies in the EU, the German one is the worst off currently. And you have, it's just, you got the perfect storm. You have violence being done by immigrants, refugees, which has caused massive amounts of hatred against refugees, immigrants, foreigners, etc. You have the rise of nationalism, which is being fueled by violence done by foreigners. You have the rise of militarism in Germany. On top of that, you have an American occupation, which has been occupying Germany since the end of World War II. And this American occupier has been controlling Germany, and the Germans have had enough, and they're sick of it. So you see this perfect storm. It's a perfect breeding ground for a Hitler to come and capitalize on the situation and take power. So it says here, the same day across the pond, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau saw his top Lieutenant Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland quit the cabinet, blah, blah. I don't really give a shit about Trudeau. That guy's a freak. And it says here, the abrupt resignation is the greatest challenge yet to Trudeau. Okay, again, I don't give a shit about Trudeau. Canada is just America's bitch. It's just one of America's little colonies. It means nothing. Though their contexts are different, Scholz and Trudeau are politically tethered to a liberal establishment in the West. That's true. That is in pronounced retreat. Ooh, that's right, everyone. The centrist establishment, the liberal global establishment, it is declining. It's crumbling. The values that undergirded it, including an embrace of the virtues of globalization, multiculturalism, and environmentalism, are under siege. Yeah, so if you promote globalism, you're not popular. You're on the endangered species list, as I've said. If you're promoting some big establishment politics, you're not popular. You are seen as an enemy. And that's where we're at right now. We are at this point where being anti-establishment is the most popular position that one can take. It is. It's the most popular position that one can take. And so it says here that, let's see here. The Liberal government has not just wasted money, noted an editorial in the Globe and Mail, a leading Canadian daily, which decried years of narrow partisan rule. Much worse, it has wasted time long before the question of Trump's tariffs arose. The housing shortage, now afflicting major cities, will take years to relieve. The stresses in the immigration system continue to build as the government contemplates quarter measures. Now, speaking of Canada, I know I said I don't give a damn about Canada, but speaking of Canada, I noticed that the Canadians are the white Canadians. They're really getting tired of seeing Indian people. I've heard of this before, and I saw a video of a bunch of Sikhs on a street somewhere in Canada, and they were screaming something. I don't know what they were screaming, but it just pissed off a whole lot of people. So you have that sort of thing. I mean, it really, like, this really is a time for populist opportunists. And if you want to make a movement against immigration, this is your time. I mean, this is your time. You can hit the metal when it's hot. This is it. And that whole centrist establishment, you know, your Scholz and your Merkels and your Labor Party and your average Republican, your average Democratic, all that stuff is going down. It's all crumbling. And what I've been thinking about lately is, what the hell are the Democrats going to do? What the hell are Democrats going to do? Like, because the Democrats support transgenderism, and transgenderism is super unpopular. So how are the Democrats going to deal with it? I think the Democrats are just going to throw the trans people under the bus. That's what I think they're going to do. They're going to say, okay, trans people under the bus. No, go under the bus. Under the bus with you. No. Under the bus. We're done with you. And I think the Democrats are just going to go back to supporting your regular old gays, your regular Peter Thiel gay guys in suits and lesbians. And they're going to say, yeah, we have gays and lesbians and bisexuals, and but what about trans people? Shut the hell up. No. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. No. Go back under the bus. Under the bus. Yep, you're making us look bad. Go away. And so it's like that joke from Dave Chappelle when Dave Chappelle said you have the L, the G, the B, and the T, and the L, the G, and the B are telling the T, shut the fuck up. And Dave Chappelle was right. He said that years ago. He said that many years ago, and he was right. So I think the Democrats are going to throw the trans people under the bus, and I think the Democrats are going to start, again, I could be completely wrong about this. This is just me pontificating. But the Democrats could one day become more nationalistic and more non-interventionist. That is a possibility. I could totally see that happening just to get votes. Because remember, Kamala Harris, she said, I want to keep on fighting. I'm going to keep on fighting the war against Russia. And I'm thinking that is not a popular position to take. What the hell? It's like everything that you could do wrong in election, she did. Everything you could do wrong, Kamala Harris did it. She supported globalization. She supported transgenderism. She supported, what was it? She supported this idea of continuing on the war against Russia. She just, all of these unpopular positions, she adopted them. And Trump was very smooth. He said, war, I want to end the wars. War in Gaza, I want to end that one. War in Ukraine, I want to end that one. I want peace. I want peace. And that really helped Donald Trump. You say we are Americans' bitch, but America is Israel's? Well, I don't know about that. I think Israel is America's bitch. I think Israel is a country that's on life support, and that life support is determined by America. Now, there are a lot of American Jews in the American government who want to make sure that Israel is protected. That is true. But let's be real. Israel is a country that is dependent on America. So Israel is America's bitch. Sorry to tell you. I know people have this idea that America is like the bitch of Israel and Israel's running the world. That's bullshit. Israel is dependent on the United States. And when Iran hit Israel with a barrage of those big-ass missiles, America was the one really doing a lot of the intercepting work. So it says here that it's unclear if they're... Okay, blah, 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 I don't care about this. I just don't really care about Trudeau. The guy is so... I don't know how the hell this guy won. How the hell did this dude win? I remember going to Canada in 2014, and when I was in Canada, Harper was the president or prime minister of Canada, and everybody I met loved Harper. Now, again, I was hanging out with Christian people, so that's the reason why, but it just seemed to me at that time that Harper was really popular, and I'm thinking, how in the hell did the Canadians go from Harper to this dude, to this schmuck? Like, how did that happen? Despite calls for his resignation, Trudeau aims to stay... Okay, again, I don't give a shit about Trudeau. Let's go back to Europe. That's more fascinating. The uncertainty and frailty racking Europe's biggest economy follows a moment in Trump's first term when Berlin, under then-Chancellor Angela Merkel, styled itself a bulwark of the liberal order. The confidence of the Merkel era has faded into self-doubt. So Merkel really was the last pillar of the liberal establishment in Germany. I think that's really the case. And once she left, that was it. That was the end. You had Scholz, and now Scholz's government has collapsed. Now you're going to have another election. And everything that I've read about the German election is saying that it looks like the one who is most likely to win the biggest in this upcoming German election is going to be the Christian Social Union, the CSU, Christian Social Union. Yeah, CSU. So it says here that the Merkel era has faded into self-doubt, with Germans in angst about their country's sluggish growth and new vulnerabilities to open war on the continent. That's why the Germans have been saying, well, we're not going to leave out the idea, we're not going to leave out the possibility of sending troops into Ukraine. That's another big thing. And also, you have a lot of war hawks in Germany. You have a lot of war hawks, and they're in the think tank world. And they have crazy ideas such as sending troops not only to Ukraine, but sending troops into various other European countries, and even sending troops into Gaza to be a peacekeeping force. Ooh, that's interesting. Imagine German soldiers in Gaza to protect Palestinians from Israelis. Oof. The Germans will say, yeah, we tried to exterminate you, and now we're here. Yeah. We're looking right at you. The confidence... Okay, I already read this. The collapse of Germany's government comes at an awkward and fragile moment for the world, noted Post-columnist Mark Fisher. It's especially unnerving because, whether they like it or not, the Germans have become a vital symbol of stability for the West, a model of what the U.S.-led community of nations can achieve. And that's the American occupation of Germany. Right there. The Americans control Germany. So the question is there going to be a German intifada where the Germans are going to say enough is enough, we want to be unleashed. Unleash us. Unleash us, America. And America's going to say, okay.